Hi, my name is Godwin France. You're welcome to my presentation. So I took a self-learning project, that's the Google Data Analytics Professional Certificate. And as part of the program, we are supposed to do an analysis on a company, and it's a fictitious company. So cyclistic bike share analysis, this is what we're going to be looking at, and I hope you enjoy my presentation. Thanks for coming. A little bit about me. So I have a BSc in telecommunication engineering. I've worked in the IT telecom sector temporarily. I'm more in education right now. Been doing this for 6-7 years, been in education, and I call myself a tech or IT marketing person, tech and sales marketing person, or tech sales and marketing person, tech sales and marketing, because I believe that I'm not so my personal coding development skills is not that so strong out there, but I believe that whatever has been programmed, whatever has been built has to be sold, has to be marketed. So that's why I'm throwing more of my strength in that regard. So still the same tech. Some I build them, some open source projects that I work on, and other people's solution. I try to take them to the markets and make some sales. For recreation, I love basketball. Played a lot of basketball, but I can't play it anymore these days. I used to play football too. Now I'm more into flag football, a modification of NFL, of American football. Doesn't require all the heavy gears and all of that. And what doesn't require any gear at all is running. So every other day I go running, half marathon, and just to stay fit. Some of my future prospects is to go deeper into digital assets. The world is getting more and more digital, and more assets online are beginning to have values, from NFTs to the financial sector, tokens, and CBDCs, that's central bank digital currencies, which have seen many more adoptions across different countries in the world. And as I want to crunch more data, I believe the higher level will be, or deep down will be, machine learning, where I can find more insights or use data to build more models. So my quest to, we all do data analysis, or we all analyze things in our world, but I took this time out to learn about the tools, the techniques, the approach to analyzing the things we see, so I can become much better at what I'm doing and what I want to do. I will be able to help more companies penetrate the African markets. So that's why I formally try to study this course, and I'm also reading a book on big data and how to set up the data warehouse or infrastructure for organizations as well. So enough about me. The objectives here are to understand how manual members and casual riders differ. So what are we talking about? So CYCLISTIC is a fictitious bike sharing company. We'll get to learn about them, but for the objectives right now, second objective is, so there are two categories of users, broad categories of users of the service, which we're going to be saying more in a moment. And so we're asked to analyze, to go through the data. It's a fictitious company, and the data has been kind of like open source and be put out there. So I took the data for the year 2022, and as part of the assignment, this is what I'm supposed to figure out. Understand how manual members and casual riders differ. 2, why casual riders buy a membership, and how digital media could affect their marketing tactics. So these are the 3 things we'll be looking at in a moment. I hope this is going to be very short, so you don't spend so much of your time. So yes, I was talking about a company, which is a fictitious one for the purpose of this presentation. In 2016, CYCLISTIC launched a successful bike share offering. Since then, the program has grown to a fleet of 5,824 bicycles that are geo-tracked and locked into a network of 692 stations across Chicago. the bikes can be unlocked from one station and returned to any other station in the system anytime. So basically, this is about the company. And let's go back. So what are we trying to figure out? So I'm going back a little. The assignment is to understand. So there are two broad categories, as I mentioned earlier. So this is a price point. This was not given in the actual assignment. So I had to do a little bit digging to find this pricing to better understand the data I'll be dealing with and how to sort through it and make my analysis. So the two broad categories are the first categories, which are termed casual riders or casual users of the services, and they are day pass and single ride or single riders. Then the second category are annual members. So the challenge that the company is trying to solve, and they want me as a junior analyst to solve, is that they have more annual membership and are trying to get more users to sign up to the annual membership. And that's what they're asking me as a junior analyst to find out, or to find insights, key insights within the data that's been provided to solve this problem. So once again, I'm going to go back. So that's what they mean by understand how annual members and casual riders differ. Why casual riders would buy a membership, all right? And how digital media could affect their marketing tactics. So once we've filtered through the data, they want us to now do digital marketing to convince them to sign up to the services. And personally, I've had about 5 similar years of experience in digital marketing. I started with Google, I started with Google digital marketing program. We're taught manually, and I continued online. That should be in the year, if I remember correctly, that should be somewhere 2017. Yes, so 2017, I've helped small businesses that I've worked with to path their digital footprints. And so as I said, data analytics everywhere is part of our lives, but I say that it's time for me to up my game and upskill and formally understand what I'm doing and what I've been doing for quite some time now. So that's enough about my personal. So these are the price points and what you get for choosing any of these categories. So for those who buy the day pass tickets, it's $15 for a day. Single ride is $3.3 per trip, while the annual membership, which is charged $9 per month and has to be paid in full for 12 months, is $9. So these are the various price points, and we have to come up with the right insights to help the company make more profit. That's what companies are for, right? Yeah, so let's proceed. All right, so we're going to jump straight right ahead into the data. I've visualized them. I've sorted out through the spreadsheets, huge amount of data. And at some point, working in the spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, was freezing my computers because the data was quite a lot in the spreadsheet. I was able to go through. I had to use Python as well to work faster. I was able to crunch the data much easier for me. So this is one of the things that I learned in the course, how to use these tools for data analysis. So I chose to use the 2022 data. And right away, when I did the calculations, I saw that, yes, indeed, the company has more annual members. So that's what I call members. So 59% of all the users for the year 2022 were card carrying members who were on the annual plan, while 41% were on the casual plan. So this way it gets a little bit tricky because the casual plan is broken down into two parts. So the first two cards you see here fall under the casual users or clients. So the day pass and the single ride. So that's one of the challenges I listed at the end of this presentation that I faced, because this was a public data, and part of the cleaning process or the preparation step that I took, there's no one to ask for the remaining part of the data or some of the errors I came across. So I had to devise other means to figure out how to, based on the timing, based on the time duration that was specified, based on, for instance, day pass users go on 30 minutes trip, while single ride have a 3 hours trip per slot. So I use this to try to fit out or create a demarcation between the day pass and the single ride, because this was not provided. So that's how, but generally this was just taking the members and the casual riders and using the time slots and doing the demarcation. I was able to deduct this. There's a bit of variables that I had to make assumptions on to get what I'm looking for. So a little bit deep dive into the data. I also had to look at the ride type. I also had to look at the ride type in the sense that based on the since the previous data is not so condensed, I had to look at based on the ride duration. Like I mentioned earlier, I had to use the ride duration. And once again, annual membership showed that there were more rides for the year 2022 as compared to the other two categories. So the day pass saw less durations as compared to the single ride. So this gave me a little bit insight to what I was looking for. So I kept further searching, plowing through the data to see if I can make insight about it. So before I read this Harvard Business Review or Business School quotes or statistics, the very first statistics I'm showing you right now, the pie chart, was showing that there are more member users than casual users. So using this data, I remember that I saw some statistics some time back when I was learning about some business rules and how to find clients. And this is what I've posted here, that acquiring new customers, even the assignment itself, my boss and the fictitious company recommend how we can convert casual users into annual members. So based on that thinking, that line of thought, I remember these quotes and I saw that, okay, that's the best way to convert users. That's a funnel that we could look at instead of trying to get new users who have never used the service at all. So the first point is what? Acquiring new customer can cost 5 times more than retaining an existing customer. So it's a brilliant idea, as my boss has recommended, that I plow through the casual users and try to convert them from being a casual user into annual members. So the second point says that increasing customer retention by 5% can increase profit from 25 to 95%. I mean, this is very mind-blowing. So our customers are there already. We have a customer base. So we have to find a way to delight and get them to sign up to the plan that we want them to be on. And the last point is the success rate of selling to a customer you already have is 60 to 70%, while the success rate of selling to new customer is 5 to 20%. So like I said earlier, we are banking on this notion and this data to be able to convert the casual riders into annual members. So let's move on. Let's look at analysis between day pass and single ride users. So right now we are putting the annual members aside and going deeper into the casual riders, which are divided into two. That's the day pass and the single ride. So I had to use an approach of averaging. So I had to use the mean value to figure out, because like I mentioned, the data, there was a bit of, it was not fully labeled, and certain null values were part of the data sets. So I thought of using the average ride duration from from the data that was given to us. So I found out that the day pass, those who are using the day pass, averaged almost an hour. So let's go back and look at the day pass people on the price point. So day pass. So if you pay $15 per day, you get one trip up to 30 minutes. But when I average it out, I realized that those on the day pass were doing almost an hour a day, and you get to do about 3 times a day, I think. Yeah, you get to do about just one ride. You have one trip up to 30 minutes for $15. So that's what the day ride is. And if you go above it, you pay more. So that was part of the rule. I had to dig further. It wasn't part of the assignment I was given, but I had to figure out more what's going on beyond just the numbers that were given. So the day ride users were averaging almost an hour, whilst the members, those who have paid $9 a month, were doing about 12 minutes. So this is what I also found very interesting in the data, was that the single ride users and the annual members were almost, as you can see here, are doing almost the same time per ride that they go on. So internally, the data is not so favorable for the business in terms of it's more advisable for someone who just want to use a bike maybe one time to use the $3.3 single ride pass, as opposed to buying a $9 per month membership. So this is what the data is pointing to. So this is what I found very interesting. But this is not what I'm going to tell the customer, because I'm now talking to my team internally. This is what the data is showing, which is not so good on our side as a business. So, but I had to find and make more sense of the data that I'm looking at. But I noticed that, which is part of the analysis, the final result I got from it is that, I don't know if I should say it now, I should say it later. Or let's move on. Maybe it will come up. I'll say it later. So this is a business that ran all year through in Chicago. And as an African, I'm an African. I'm in Africa, somewhere in Ghana, West Africa. We only have 2 seasons, basically the rainy season and the dry season. But I had to take into consideration the location of the service that is being provided. So I looked at the weather pattern for Chicago, and I realized that Chicago has 4 seasons. So I had to further use the tool I use for this is the R Studio. That's the R programming language, and used to do the analysis, the scripting, and the visualization as well. So I divided into the 4 seasonal periods and rearranged it. And I saw the pattern that the winter period were the time that the business saw less patronage or less usage of their services. I mean, obviously, who would be riding a bicycle in a cold weather? I think that wouldn't be a good idea. Frosty bite and all of that, so people don't do that. So that's the winter month experience. That's December through January, February, and into the month of March. Saw low patronage. Then the activity started picking up. So the 30 minutes or less are the single riders, whilst the greater than 30 minutes are the day pass. So the single riders versus the day pass in the seasonal pattern is what we're looking at. Single ride summation. So let's look at single ride summation first of all, because remember the casual riders, we're trying to see how we can convert casual riders into annual membership. So based on all what we've looked at so far, this is a summary. Average single ride duration is approximately 12 minutes as members pass. That's what I was saying, that internally, if I'm talking to the internal my team, the price point is not so good for single pass users. to try and convince them to jump over. It will not benefit them. But as a business, we're trying to see how we can work things around and have a value proposition for this category of our users to switch over to the plan we feel will be profitable for the business and also offer value to the users as well. So most single riders rode approximately 12 minutes, which is almost the same thing as the annual members as well. There are more users in the casual category that stick to 30 minutes or less. So that was the last chart, the seasonal chart I just showed. Okay? Apart from the winter season with low patronage, single riders are active most part of the year. So the good thing about these single riders is that they're active all through the year apart from the winter season. All right? So can we do some recommendations here? So let's recommend that annual membership to these users if they do more than 2 rides per day. So the catch here is that if the one using the single ride does more than 2 rides a day, then it makes sense for them to switch over to the annual membership. So this is what the marketing team and the finance team should be looking at in designing a price point that will suit them, which we might look at. I'll give more recommendation at the end of this. So all those averaging 12 minutes should move to membership. So that is a full-time membership. So if you're 12 minutes and above, you have to move. It is more profitable for you to move to save you $1 on your dollar. All right. So we've looked at seasonal analysis. We looked at ride duration analysis. What else have we looked at? We looked at the total number of rides in the year. So now let's look at the day of the week. So the day of the week will help us see. We know that the other seasons, apart from the winter season, that's the fall and summer, and what's the other one? Spring period sees more activity. So the next thing I did was to try and analyze and look at the data from a day-to-day analysis, between the casual users and the members. So mainly looking at the graph, you realize that members seem to have a fixed pattern or a regular usage of the services of the bike sharing, whereas the casual users, their activities seem to have peaked or peaks during the weekend. So you can see the bar for casual users spikes on Sunday or Sundays and Saturdays. So this shows that our casual users, although they use the services all week long, seem to have more usage for the services during the weekend. So this should inform us that, okay, how can we draw up a marketing campaign or a price point that will add more value to the annual membership that will include weekends activities and make it look enticing to our already existing users and to those who hopefully to new entrants. So to wrap it up, what's the insight? So insight for membership or for members, let's look at some of the insight. So members or the annual members are consistent with their riding frequency, which we just saw all through the week, which is mostly during the week. All right, that's from the last the chart we looked at. Members or those who are on the annual membership do short distances or an average of 12 minutes. So members do short distances and average 12 minutes at most, or averagely, sorry. Whereas the casual users do more rides over the weekend, as mentioned earlier, and they cover longer distance as compared to the annual, those who are on the annual members. So I was thinking that this could be due to the day pass users, because they seems to require to use the bike longer for my deduction. So what are my recommendation? My recommendation are rec 1, that's recommendation 1. So we're asked to do 3 things. How they differ, how casual users and membership differ, to create a promotional campaign and see how we can move some or more of the casual users to become annual members, annual card carry members. So these are my recommendations. Create promotional campaigns that focus on the advantages of an annual membership for leisure use. So if they're using it on weekends, it means they're using it for leisure use, likely being used for leisure. For those who visit Chicago, maybe tourists who come into the city, they want to ride around. So that's why that's why I termed it leisure. Such easy access to bikes during the weekdays and events as well. So the second recommendation is to create a membership tier for longer rides. So we realized that, remember I showed you the chart. Let me go up a little. So this is why I got that from. The day pass users and the casual users require more or longer rides. So if time and distance are almost the same thing. So if someone is doing almost an hour ride in a day at a given time, that means they're likely carrying more distance. So I'm making an assumption here because due to data privacy, the data that was given to us, the path and the distance were not given. But I initially tried using the coordinate, but I realized that it was going to be a lot of work because the data was a lot. So I had to narrow down my assumptions and the data I was going to be working with. So what other recommendation do we have? Recommendation 3: introduce monthly or seasonal membership options for casual riders who do not want to commit to a full year. It's tricky. It's a slippery slope that even the single ride users, depends on how they use the service, they will not, what the current annual plan would actually not suit them. Great. So point 3, allowing them to try out membership before making long-term commitment. So we have to give them something to be hopeful to or to enjoy, so they can come to the membership plan. Like we said, we've seen the seasons that there's more activities. The summer sees more activity as opposed to the winter. And even summer has more activities than the fall and autumn or spring season. My recommendation 4 is to allow members to reserve bikes in advance at key stations, especially during peak hours or events, ensuring they always have access when they need it. All right. So the way the cyclistic bike company works is that you take the bike from point A from a particular station and you drop it off at another station. So if the casual members are leisure seekers or people who use the services more over the weekend, we don't want a situation whereby they pack off the bike and when they come back, there's no bike for them to use. So this is an incentive to get them to move to the annual membership. So this is what this point is all about. And geotagging and time-based, this is more of the marketing campaign because we're asked to drop a social media marketing plan. So we're going to use a geotagging feature, which is already a feature in the bikes or in the service, and time-based ads. So we're going to schedule the ads properly, do A/B testing, and we have our database and reach out to the right users at every given point in time, and not just throw out a blanket ad just for everybody, but we are narrowing down our activities. All right, so I'm almost at the end of my presentation. So the data source, like we said, is the company is fictitious, but this is an open source data that is being generated by probably a real company that we're given access to. So I chose to use the year 2022's data for my analysis. So the license is free, is open source data license agreement. And what challenges did I face? Like I said earlier, not able to identify duplicate entries. So I couldn't find duplicate entries. If not, that would have mean that I'll be able to pin certain individual users, which would have also given me or helped me to narrow down to usage pattern. But probably due to privacy reasons, that was not allowed. That was not given as part of the data. So also the casual riders were not clearly defined in the data. So I had to manipulate the time durations to figure out who the single riders are or the single ride users are and the day pass users are. They were not tagged. We're only giving tag for annual members and casual members, but the casual members consist of two categories of people, which my analysis showed that they do different riding durations. So casual riders were identified. So this is how I did it. And the last challenge I want to point out was that no means to fill in, or so there's no one to talk to. I mean, the data is a dump. It's like going into a dump and a dumpster and working with the data. There's no one to talk to. But in real life, if I'm working on a team or with other people, I could go back to the one who designed the system or whoever is running the manager and ask them to help me fill up the gap or to better understand what's going on. So I couldn't do that here. And finally, some of the tools that I learned or I had to relearn again taking the course were Microsoft Excel, Python programming language, and R programming language. R programming language. I also learned SQL. I know it already, but it's part of the course. I learned it again, but I didn't use it as part of this course. So this is my first work as a junior data analyst. Thank you. Okay, that's the last thank you page. So this is my first, this is part of my capstone project as a junior data analyst. I hope I made a bit of sense and was able to find insights and value in the data. So my goal is to keep growing, keep improving, and telling stories using data points and being able to also build storylines from data, from big data for small business and large corporations, and able to take the data. Data is everywhere. We're now dealing with big data. We can basically track everything, anything right now. And I hope that so my goal is to improve on my skill sets, to find insights in these data points. So thank you so much for coming to my presentation. Have a great day.